The 10 stages of the badge, what it actually costs. Part 1, the seduction and the descent, levels 1 to 5. Cold open. You are pushing a shopping cart with a squeaky right wheel through the cavernous fluorescent-lit aisles of a Costco in suburban Ohio. It is a Sunday afternoon. The store is packed with families buying bulk paper towels and frozen chicken breasts. The air smells like roasted nuts and industrial floor wax. A teenager, maybe 19, is standing 20 feet away near the electronics section. He is wearing a heavy, oversized Carhartt jacket, even though it is 70 degrees outside. He locks eyes with you for a fraction of a second, looks down, and rapidly reaches his right hand deep into his jacket pocket. He moves too fast. Your heart rate instantaneously spikes to 170 beats per minute. The metallic taste of adrenaline floods the back of your throat. Your vision tunnels, blurring out the massive flat-screen TVs and the crowds, snapping into sharp, terrifying focus solely on the teenager's elbow and shoulder trajectory. Your right hand violently twitches toward your right hip, your muscle memory screaming to disengage the level 3 retention hood of a holster. But your hand grasps empty air. You're wearing gym shorts. You don't have your Glock 17. For 3 agonizingly slow seconds, your central nervous system is absolutely convinced you are about to be shot to death in a Costco. The kid pulls out a cracked iPhone with a red case. You exhale, a cold, sickening sweat suddenly pasting your t-shirt to your spine. You grip the plastic handle of the shopping cart so hard your knuckles turn bone white. You look down at your shaking hands, breathing in the scent of bulk packaged muffins, and you realize you are permanently, irreparably broken. You have absolutely no idea how to exist in the normal world anymore. How did it end up like this? Level 1, the applicant. You think you want to help people. You are 22 years old, armed with a high school diploma, a clean record, and a naive belief in absolute justice. You sit in a windowless basement-level room of a municipal building that smells perpetually of damp carpet and stale Folgers coffee. They strip mine your entire existence. The psychological evaluation doesn't test if you are sane. It tests if you possess the specific architecture to compartmentalize extreme trauma without becoming a liability. You are strapped to a polygraph machine. The leather straps bite into your forearms. A man with dead eyes asks you about your high school internet browser history, your credit card debt, your alcohol consumption, and that one time you smoked marijuana in the back seat of a 2012 Honda Civic.
They interview your ex-girlfriend. They interview your high school math teacher. They comb through your bank statements looking for vulnerabilities, for the exact breaking point of your moral compass. After 6 months of invasive, suffocating paranoia, a sterile phone call tells you that you have been accepted. You think you've won the lottery. You have no idea what you just signed away. Level 2, the recruit. The police academy is a concrete brutalist nightmare. For 26 grueling weeks, they methodically beat the civilian out of you. You run miles on cracked, sun-baked asphalt until your lungs burn with the taste of copper. You are sprayed in the face with oleorescent capsicum, pepper spray. It feels like someone poured boiling cooking oil directly into your open eyes. You are forced to fight off an instructor, blind and suffocating, before you're allowed to vomit into an aluminum trash can. But the physical pain is merely a distraction. The real conditioning is psychological. You are taught the Tueller drill, the mathematical, uncompromising reality that a man with a knife 21 feet away can close the distance and sever your carotid artery before you can unholster your weapon. You are shown dashcam footage of officers being executed during routine traffic stops. You are trained to view every pair of hands, every oversized coat, every tinted window, and every shadow as a lethal threat vector. The world stops being a community. It becomes a hunting ground where you are the prey. You graduate on a Saturday morning in a stuffy high school gymnasium. You raise your right hand. Your mother pins a polished silver shield to your chest. She looks at you like you are a hero. You are just bait. Level 3, the patrol officer. You are shoved into the passenger seat of a Ford Police Interceptor utility. The cabin smells overwhelmingly of pine air freshener, sweat, and dried vomit. Your field training officer, FTO, is a cynical, exhausted phantom who drinks black coffee from a dented Yeti thermos and speaks almost entirely in penal codes. Week 2, you pull up to a crumbling stucco duplex in a Section 8 housing complex, a domestic disturbance. You walk into a living room littered with crushed Busch Light cans, overflowing ashtrays, and dirty diapers. A man with a bleeding knuckle is screaming at the top of his lungs. A woman with a swollen purple orbital bone is crying in the corner, holding a toddler. You freeze. Your brain cannot process the raw, unfiltered misery. Your FTO steps past you, slams the man into the cheap drywall, and ratchets the Smith & Wesson cuffs onto his wrists. You just watch. A month later, you are standing on a rain-slicked stretch of I-80 at 3 a.m. You are scraping the mangled remains of a 19-year-old girl off the shattered steering column of a Chevy Cruze. She was texting her boyfriend. You smell the hot, sweet antifreeze mixed with the heavy iron scent of blood. You help the coroner zip the heavy black bag. You go home, scrub the biohazard off your boots in the bathtub, and lie in bed staring at the popcorn ceiling. Your girlfriend asks if you are okay. You say yes. You are lying. The trauma is officially compounding. Level 4, the Senior Patrol. 5 years in. You work the graveyard shift alone. You are an apex predator of the midnight streets. You know the exact corners where the fentanyl changes hands. You know which trap houses have reinforced doors. You arrest the same meth addict at the exact same Speedway gas station every third Tuesday. You are shoveling water out of a sinking ship with a slotted spoon. It's 3 a.m. You pull over a 2014 Nissan Altima on a desolate stretch of county road. Broken taillight, routine. You walk up to the driver's side window, shining your mag light. The driver is sweating profusely. He won't make eye contact. He drops his right hand suddenly toward the center console. Time dilates. The ambient hum of the highway vanishes. Your hand grips your holster, your thumb frantically disengaging the retention hood. You draw your weapon. You are a fraction of a pound of trigger pull away from taking a human life. Your finger rests on the frame. The driver pulls out a crumpled insurance card. You let out a breath that feels like shattered glass in your throat. You write the warning. You walk back to your cruiser. Once the doors lock, your hands shake so violently you cannot put the vehicle into drive. You realize with a cold, sinking dread that this happens twice a month. You will carry this terrifying, suffocating hyper-vigilance in your nervous system for the rest of your natural life. The fear never leaves. You just build a callus over it. Level 5, the detective. 8 years on the street. They hand you a gold shield. You wear a cheap suit and a tie. You think you've escaped the nightmare of the patrol car. You haven't. You've just traded adrenaline for a slow, agonizing psychological rot. You are assigned to the robbery homicide desk. You no longer fight criminals in dark alleys. You fight paperwork and the absolute depths of human depravity from a cramped gray cubicle. Your desk is a mountain of manila folders filled with autopsy photos. You spend 14 hours straight staring at a monitor, watching blurry CCTV footage from an Exxon station robbery gone wrong. You watch a terrified 20-year-old clerk bleed out on a linoleum floor in high definition. You play the footage forward and backward, frame by grueling frame, until the image is permanently burned into your retinas. Your cell phone vibrates on the desk. It's your wife. You missed your son's travel baseball tournament. Again. You tell her you are busy catching a killer, that you are doing something that matters. She tells you that you haven't looked her in the eye in 2 years, that you jump when the toaster pops, that you sleep with a loaded firearm under the mattress. She tells you she doesn't know who you are anymore. You hang up. You take a sip of cold, bitter coffee. You press play on the CCTV footage again. You have mastered your profession, but you have entirely lost your soul. Art 2, the double bind and the breaking point. Level 6, the sergeant. 12 years on the job. You have 3 chevrons on your sleeve. You are a sergeant. You no longer manage crime, you manage liability. You are the babysitter for 8 men and women carrying loaded firearms and undiagnosed compounding PTSD. It happens on a blistering Tuesday afternoon in July, a frantic, garbled radio call, shots fired at a dilapidated Motel 6 off the interstate. You hit the sirens and drive 90 miles an hour, your heart slamming against your ribs. You arrive to find the cracked asphalt covered in shatterglass and brass shell casings. One of your youngest patrolmen, a 23-year-old kid whose uniform still looks brand new, is sitting on the curb. He is hyperventilating, staring blankly at his smoking barrel. A man lies dead near the rusted ice machine, a knife near his hand. You don't comfort the cop. Protocol forbids it. You immediately isolate him. You confiscate his weapon. You call the union rep. You call internal affairs. The shooting is eventually ruled justified by a grand jury, but the kid's mind snaps under the weight. He starts drinking heavily. He stops showing up for shifts. 6 months later, he quits. You sign his resignation paperwork in your sterile fluorescent-lit office. The guilt is a physical, crushing weight on your chest. You approved his dispatch. You sent him to that motel. You trained him to pull the trigger. His ghost is added to the permanent ledger you carry in your head. Level 7, the lieutenant. 18 years deep. You trade your patrol uniform for a cheap polyester suit. You are now middle management. The street is a distant, visceral memory. You live in a terrifying corporate purgatory of Excel spreadsheets, overtime budgets, and political landmines. You command 50 officers, but you spend your days sitting under flickering lights in a conference room, listening to a deputy chief yell at you because your sector's drug arrests are down 4%. This drop affects a federal funding grant. You don't give a damn about the grant. You care that your officers are driving cruisers with bald tires and broken radios, running from call to call without a lunch break. But you can't say that. You swallow the anger and nod. Your phone vibrates on the desk. It's an email from your ex-wife's attorney regarding missed alimony payments. Your marriage dissolved 3 years ago, a casualty of missed anniversaries and emotional unavailability. You live in a barren one-bedroom apartment with a mattress on the floor and a refrigerator containing nothing but condiments and cheap IPA beers. You see your kids every other weekend. You traded your family for a department that views you as entirely expendable. You are not a cop anymore. You are a liability manager. Level 8, the captain. 22 years. You run a precinct. 200 officers are under your command. You answer directly to the politicians now. You are trapped in the ultimate, inescapable double bind. Inescapable double bind. The city council demands aggressive street enforcement to combat rising crime in your sector. You deploy specialized units to the hot spots. But when you provide the enforcement they asked for, the local media crucifies you for over-policing and aggressive tactics. If you pull the units back, crime spikes, and the mayor demands your resignation. There is no winning. Then the scandal hits. An audit reveals that a detective in your precinct has been skimming oxycodone from the evidence locker for a year. It makes the front page of the Metro paper. News vans idle outside your brick building. The chief of police hauls you into his mahogany office and demands a sacrificial lamb. You fire the detective. You suspend his supervisor. You stand at a podium wearing your dress uniform and issue a hollow, PR-sanitized apology to the local news cameras. You feel dirty. The brotherhood you believed in during the academy is dead. It's just a corporate meat grinder now, and you are the one pulling the crank, feeding your own people into the gears to protect the department's brand. Level 9, the deputy chief. 28 years. You are the second in command of a multi-million-dollar paramilitary organization. You manage a budget of $200 million and 3,000 officers. You do not sleep. You survive entirely on cortisol, black coffee, and antacids. A cell phone video goes viral. One of your patrol officers uses a controversial, though technically approved, restraint technique during a chaotic arrest outside a crowded Walgreens. The suspect goes into cardiac arrest and dies. Within 4 hours, the city is burning. CNN and Fox News satellite trucks choke the downtown streets. Protesters throw bricks through your precinct windows. The governor threatens to send in the National Guard. You sit in a windowless war room with the mayor and a team of crisis PR consultants who bill the city $1,000 an hour. They don't ask about the truth of the incident. They don't ask about the officer's training. They only ask about the optics. They run the political calculus and decide to throw the officer to the wolves to save the city's tourism revenue and the mayor's re-election campaign. You stand at a podium covered in microphones and announce the criminal charges against a cop you know was following department-approved training. The betrayal tastes like ash in your mouth. You look at the flashing camera lenses and realize you have become the exact bureaucratic monster you swore to protect people from when you were 22 years old. To level 10, the cycle. 34 years. You made it to chief of police, survived the impossible politics, and took your pension. You are finally done. You live in a gated community in Arizona. It is 80 degrees and perfectly, aggressively quiet. But the silence is deafening. You are incapable of turning off the hyper-vigilance. You cannot sit in a restaurant without mapping the exits and assessing every single patron for concealed weapons. When a car backfires, you physically flinch. You alienated your children decades ago. Your body is a horrifying inventory of permanent damage, compressed spinal discs, chronic high blood pressure, severe sleep apnea, and a liver failing from years of self-medication. You sit in a leather recliner in the dark, drinking scotch, listening to the crackle of a police scanner app on your iPad, just to feel something, just to connect to the only world that makes sense to you. You gave the city your entire soul, your health, and your family. In return, they gave you a brass plaque and a pension check. Meanwhile, 2,000 miles away, a 21-year-old kid walks into a strip mall recruitment center right next to a Subway sandwich shop. He is in peak physical shape. He has a clean record. He earnestly wants to help people. He sits down under the buzzing fluorescent lights and fills out the exact same application you did 34 years ago. He signs his name on the dotted line. He has absolutely no idea what he just did, and the cycle begins again.